California. Good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Sports Show. Today we have ourselves quite a show, as we have a lot to get to in the world of Southern California sports, such as the Rams sadly seeing their season come to an end against those shredded Philadelphia Eagles, but it wasn't without an amazing fight by the Rams. They fought the sleet and cold, bitter snow, and they really pulled out the upset. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. Also, the Lakers, on a positive note, they took down their dreaded Boston Celtics as they kicked off rivalry week with a bang. Now, can they do the same against those Golden State Warriors? We shall see, but there's help coming for them. Loses hope? We'll have to find out. And the Clippers got back into the W column with a nice win over the Washington Wizards, even though that doesn't mean too much. But UCLA's back into the W column in terms of men's basketball as they kick down the ranked Wisconsin Badgers. Also, USC preparing for their showdown against those gutty little Bruins in men's basketball. And UCLA Wizards as well as USC in the kick butt and kick game. Also, in terms of college men's basketball, we had a stunner in SoCal. Who pulled off the upset? You'll have to find out in a little bit. All that and more here on the SoCal Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Spring Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday morning, Friday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way into episode 213 of the SoCal Spring Sports Show. And without any further delay, let's begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Spring Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on StreamYard. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Also, while you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. We would definitely appreciate it. We're trying to reach 500 subscribers by the time the Super Bowl hits, and with your help, we can make that goal happen. So definitely do subscribe to us if you haven't already, and if you have, we greatly appreciate it. Also, make sure to check out our website, iesportsradio.com, and check us out on other podcast platforms such as Spreaker, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, GeoSavin. The list goes on and on. Also, check us out on our website, iesportsradio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our pages dedicated to each podcast, such as the SoCal Spring Sports Show, our merchandise shop, where you can cop t-shirts, tank tops, hoodies for the winter, and so much more. Also, make sure to check out our Hall of Fame, where yours truly, me, is inducted into the Hall of Fame, inductee number 10, and so much more on our website, all waiting for you. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports teams around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. A huge shout to all of our sponsors: Plant Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B, Vital Apparel, and our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. So without any further delay, let's see what those sponsors are all about.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out all of our sponsors and check out our website, iesportsradio.com. And also check out our new sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. And if you use the code ISR, you'll get 10% off your order. So definitely keep that in mind. And the way you can follow the SoCal Spring Sports Show on social media is on X at SoCal Show IESR. And you can follow me, the host, on X as well at Teran Rodriguez 1. All right, let's get on into the SoCal sports action as Ralph Clace pops in the chat room and says, "Good afternoon, Teran, my man. Have a great show." Thank you, Ralph. And definitely do check out Ralph's show, The Ins Report. That'll be coming on later today at 5 p.m. Pacific time, which where I'm at now is 7 p.m. Central time. But I digress. All right. So now let's get on into the SoCal sports action. So we got to talk some Rams, and unfortunately, the Rams suffered a tough loss. But they didn't go out without a fight. They did everything they could against those dreaded Philadelphia Eagles. It was going to be an uphill climb. Let's all keep it real. You saw what the Eagles did to the Rams the first meeting, but the Rams just had no answer for Saquon Barkley, and eventually they lost 28-22. But they made it closer. They made it really close, and I think it's safe to say that the Rams were probably one of the best losers from the divisional round. I think everyone's going to probably say that the Baltimore Ravens were the best loser, but I tend to disagree because I think the Rams gave everything that they had against the Eagles and more. Because the Eagles, the Ravens-Bills game was a pick-em game. Everyone and their moms was probably picking the Eagles to beat the Rams, unless you just don't like the Philadelphia Eagles. But I digress. All right, but the Eagles matchup. So in the first quarter, Jalen Hurts got the Eagles on the board with the touchdown as Jalen Hurts used his legs, and he managed to get a 44-yard rushing touchdown. And if you watch Philly Sports Talk, which is our Philadelphia show on IE Sports Radio, Bobby Cash and Chris Amos, they both said that the Eagles' offensive line was going to overpower the Rams' defensive line because the Eagles got some big boys on that offensive line. While the Rams' defensive line and their front seven, it's not that big. I mean, they're physical, but they're not big. So Rams found themselves down 6-0 because Eagles can't kick an extra point to save their lives. But thankfully, the Rams were able to drive down the field, and this was before the snow came down. Thankfully, the Rams were able to drive down the field. Eventually, Stafford found Tyler Higbee for a 4-yard touchdown pass, and suddenly the Rams were up 7-6. So that was very good. But then the next drive, the next few drives featured 3-and-outs by both teams, and then the Eagles managed to score a 62-yard rushing touchdown, courtesy of Saquon Barkley, a.k.a. the Rams' bane of existence. And this time, the Eagles actually made their extra point. So suddenly, the Rams were down 13-7. Second quarter was just a defensive quarter, as the only scoring came from Joshua Carty as he nailed a 30-yard field goal. And suddenly, the Rams were only down 13-10. But rest of the quarter was just a defensive battle. And the Rams defense, for having a small defense and a young defense, I thought the Rams looked pretty good against the Eagles. They got pressure on Jalen Hurts. They forced a couple of fumbles and whatnot. Unfortunately, they didn't force any turnovers, but still, they got pressure on Jalen Hurts. So eventually, the Rams found themselves down 13-10 going into halftime. But for what it was worth, it was actually pretty darn good, if you ask me, because it could have been so much worse than 13-10. So in the third quarter, the Rams eventually found points, but unfortunately, they had to settle in for another short field goal as Joshua Carty nailed a 34-yarder, and eventually it was tied 13-13. So and this was when the snow was starting to come down. This was when it was starting to snow, and I was fearing the worst. I was like, uh-oh, it's not going to look good for the Rams. But eventually the Rams did find points. This time it was on the defensive side. Now, I got to give credit to the Rams punter. He really pinned the Eagles deep, and eventually, Jalen Hurts got sacked in the end zone for a safety, and suddenly Rams were only down 1 going into the fourth quarter. And it was looking really good. The Rams were driving, and then the Eagles unfortunately forced a fumble. Kyron Williams has had this big issue when it comes to fumbling the ball, and eventually was scooped up by the Eagles defense, and it was returned all the way to the 10-yard line. Eventually, the Rams defense held, and the Eagles got a pretty much chip shot field goal, which thankfully for Jake Elliott, he was able to make. So suddenly, instead of only being down 1, the Rams were now down 4, which was not ideal. And then another fumble occurred, as this time, I think it was Jalen Carter. He got to Matthew Stafford. Now, I was unaware of this, and I think most people were unaware of this. Matthew Stafford had a bunch of cracked ribs back in the win against the Jets. And then in the first quarter, he re-aggravated that injury. So Matthew Stafford just did not have that mobility. And eventually that fumble caused by Jalen Carter did not do the Rams any wonders. And it didn't do Matthew Stafford any wonders. So eventually the Eagles were able to drive down the field, but they were able to kick in a field goal. The Rams held them to a field goal. And interestingly enough, the Eagles got all the way down to their 1. They were going to go for it on 4th and goal, and you know what was coming, the tush push. But the Eagles were called for a false start, and instead of being at their 1, being at the Rams 1, they're at the Rams 6, and they just decided, heck with it, let's just get the points. So Rams were now down 7. And the Rams just could not get their offense going for jack diddly squat, and they punted it again. And I was fearing the worst, and the Rams just needed to hold the Eagles to a punt. And the Eagles were on their own 22, but then you know who, Saquon Barkley just took the ball and just ran with it, and the Rams were in deep trouble. They were down 2 scores. Thankfully for them, Jake Elliott decided to go rogue and miss the extra point. And eventually the Rams had a hurry-up offense where it only took less than 2 minutes off the clock. And eventually Stafford found Cody Parkinson for the touchdown. And then eventually the Rams used it. They had to use all their timeouts, but thankfully for them, they were able to get the stop and get one last shot. Thankfully for the Rams, they were able to drive down the field, and Matthew Stafford hit Puka Nacua with an amazing pass. It was just an amazing dart and amazing catch by Puka. Unfortunately for the Rams, they just could not get anything going as the Rams turned it over on downs, and the Eagles wound up holding on and winning 28-22. The crazy thing is that the Rams actually outgained the Eagles in overall offensive yards, 402 to 350. Unfortunately for the Rams, those 2 turnovers reared their ugly heads, and now this Rams season is officially over. So, am I disappointed? Yes, but everyone and their moms literally picked the Eagles to win, and I think from what it looks like, it was a push. So, Eagles eventually were the spread was 7.5, and the Rams did cover. So this is according to ESPN Bet, but that's besides the point. So yeah, Matthew Stafford, even though he had a whopping 324 passing yards with 2 touchdowns, and Puka Nacua had 97 receiving yards, he only had 6 receptions, which wasn't too bad. Kyren Williams, even though he had that fumble, he had 106 rushing yards. Saquon Barkley still had his way, though. He had 205 rushing yards with 2 rushing touchdowns. And interestingly enough, the Eagles' best receiver was Dallas Goedert, who had 4 receptions for 56 yards. They didn't really bother to really throw the ball just because they have Saquon Barkley, and the Rams' run defense is one of the worst ever. So my boy, the Chill Mike, pops in the chat and he says, "What's up, Teran? Have a great show. Rams battle hard." And yes, I do agree. And he also says, "This has been a bad year for kickers." Yeah, for the most part. And no kicker, unless you're Chris Boswell. And then my good friend Kent McHale says, "T-Rod, Rams are better coached. Eagles roster is loaded and should have blown the Rams out. If the rookie center doesn't miss block at the end, NFC Championship is at SoFi on Sunday." Yeah, I totally agree. And I definitely think that the Rams had their chances. Unfortunately, turnovers just reared their ugly heads, and the Eagles did have a stacked roster. But I thought the coaching staff on the Rams, with Chris Shula being the defensive coordinator, Sean McVay being such a mastermind, I thought they were very well prepared. And this could have definitely been much worse because Eagles were 14-3 going into this game. Well, 15-3 if we're counting the playoffs. But Eagles were definitely favored to just decimate the Rams. But the Rams held their own. The defense, for it being so young, they got to Jalen Hurts quite a bit. And they also put pressure on them. And they forced the Eagles to just go with the run game. And eventually, even though Saquon did get his way, the Rams were not shying away from the challenge. Unfortunately, this was a statistic that I did not know of. Matthew Stafford is a whopping 1-9 when playing in the cold, and that includes that loss to the Eagles. And that's a surprise if you ask me. So 1-9 when playing in snow, ouch. But I will say this for the Rams. It was indeed a fantastic season, and first year without Aaron Donald, Rams won the division. So that was such a great season for the Rams, and I do salute them. And my boy Ralph Calise also asked this: would you say overall it was a good season for both the Chargers and the Rams? I think so. Your thoughts? That's a great question. So I definitely think it was a great season for the Chargers. Well, actually, no. Let's save the Chargers for later. But for the Rams, it was indeed a great season. I thought it was a great season for the Rams. Most people thought that the Rams were either going to be a wild card team or they were going to miss the playoffs entirely. Remember, the Rams had that 1-4 start. They were decimated with injuries with their offensive weapons like Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Everything just was going south, and some people thought that the Rams weren't not even going to make the playoffs. Most gave the Rams a 1% or less chance of making the postseason. But the Rams were able to overcome all of that, and they were able to pull off the win. And it was quite astounding, if you ask me. So great job to the Rams, and I definitely think it was a great season. Now, my big concern for the Rams is their free agents. So their key free agents are as follows. You will see down below. Obviously, I think one of the bigger ones is Ahkello Witherspoon, their corner. First and foremost, Ahkello Witherspoon wasn't on the roster until training camp, where the Rams eventually brought back Ahkello Witherspoon because the Rams didn't want to bring him back, and then no one picked up Spoon, and then Rams just said, you know what, Spoon, you're coming back with us. So we'll work something out with you, and we'll get you back on the roster. So great job to the Rams for bringing him back. Now, I would like to see Ahkello Witherspoon be brought back because he was definitely an asset to the Rams defense. He came up with such great defensive plays, whether it was interceptions or forcing fumbles, aka the wild card game against Minnesota. You'll see some other notable names. You got Demarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell, Joseph Notaboom, and so on and so forth. Troy Reader, who's pretty much been coming and going when it comes to the Rams defense. He's a free agent. So, yeah, and then you also got John Johnson and Jimmy Garoppolo, the backup QB, which we'll get into the QB position in a little bit. But, yeah, it was an overall amazing season for the Rams, and this Rams defense is only going to get better and better. They just need time to develop, and this first year was absolutely amazing for them, considering this was the first year without Aaron Donald and whatnot, and they lost a few other key pieces to the free agent market. So I think the Rams can say that this was a great season. Would they like to have gone all the way? Yes. But should they be happy and should they be hopeful for the future? Absolutely. So I can't wait to see what the Rams could do next season, and I definitely think that they could definitely make some noise. So now, as for the Chargers' notable free agents, they've got some notable free agents this season. They've got Khalil Mack, J.K. Dobbins, Asante Samuel Jr., Poona Ford, Elijah Molden, Tier Tart, Joshua Palmer. I saw Gus Edwards, but I thought he signed a 2-year deal. So Gus Edwards, at the very least, will probably be back. And then Bradley Bozeman. So, look, for the Chargers, they had an amazing season as well. Some thought they were going to be a borderline playoff team. Obviously, playing in the same division as the Chiefs is going to do that to you. But 11 wins after having 5 wins, and with a new head coach, new coaching staff, new everything, and with Justin Herbert not having the weapons that he had back 2 seasons ago when he had like Mike Williams and Gerald Everett and Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen. So, yeah, jumping over to the Chargers, and that's actually a perfect transition to go to the Chargers. Yeah, the Chargers did have an amazing season. Would I have liked to have seen a playoff win? Yes, but I didn't expect a Super Bowl from the Chargers this season anyway. I kept trying to tell everybody that I don't expect a Super Bowl in the first year of the Jim Harbaugh era. People need to slow their roll when it comes to saying that the Chargers can win the Super Bowl this year. But it was a great first season for the Chargers as well. So here are my big things. Should the Chargers go after T. Higgins in free agency? Should they also go after Trey Smith? Should they also bring back Keenan Allen as well if possible? So Keenan Allen, believe it or not, he actually has 3 destinations that he wants to go to. He either wants to be brought back with the Chicago Bears, he wants to be brought back with the Chargers, or he wants to go to the other LA team and go with the Rams. Well, I mean, it all depends on what Cooper Kupp does. Like Cooper Kupp, maybe he's thinking on if he said he should be back playing football, but he doesn't know if he'll be back playing with the Rams. Obviously, Puka Nacua is on his rookie deal, so that's still a thing right there. So Demarcus Robinson obviously is a notable free agent, as well as a Tutu Atwell. And then obviously there was another free agent for the Rams in terms of wide receivers, who it was Tyler Robinson. So not Tyler Robinson, Tyler Johnson. So Tyler Johnson is another notable free agent for the Rams. But yeah, if Keenan Allen goes to the Rams, that would be pretty fascinating to see. If he goes back to the Chargers, I think that would be ever so amazing. If he still wants to stay with Chicago, so be it. But he didn't have the greatest season. I mean, yes, he had injuries that plagued him, but honestly, that's what happens when you join the Chicago Bears. I'm kidding. But, yeah, should the Chargers bring back Keenan Allen? Yes. They need to get some sort of weapons for Justin Herbert. Ladd McConkey just cannot carry that team altogether. I mean, he was great in the wild card round, and he even set the rookie receiving yards record in a single game, which I thought was pretty darn cool. But can he have another big season like this year? We shall see. Now for the Chargers, they're already not deep into their offseason. They're already into their offseason. I'll save the Rams' potential draft targets for next week and beyond. But some potential draft targets that I saw for the Chargers are as follows. Tyler Warren, tight end for Penn State. I loved seeing him. I really liked seeing him when it came to the college football playoff. I thought he was a stud for Penn State, and he won some sort of award. It was like some sort of like best tight ends award that you get every so year. Like I don't know what the award is called, but Tyler Warren did win that award, and I fear if the Chargers do get Tyler Warren, I think that would be big. But some are saying that Tyler Warren won't be available at number 22 and that he might fly off the board soon. Well, that depends. Brock Bowers was supposed to be projected top 10, and then he fell all the way down to, Raiders. I can't do it too loud just because I'm in an apartment complex, but I digress. But yeah, Brock Bowers fell all the way down to the Raiders, and look at what happened. So who knows? Maybe the Tyler Warren can fall down to the Chargers' lap. And if the Chargers can't get Tyler Warren, they could obviously get another tight end from the Big Ten. Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. So he has familiarity with playing for Jim Harbaugh, and this would be so great to have. And yes, I know the Chargers have Hayden Hurst, and I forget the Seattle Seahawks tight end, but they have him too. But I mean, why not get new blood? I mean, obviously tight ends And they also have Stone Smart. I can't forget about Stone Smart because he actually was underrated in my opinion. But I think for the Chargers, getting a tight end would be so big. I also saw in a mock Chargers draft that they also had Patrick Herbert, Justin Herbert's older brother or younger brother. Either way, it's his brother. They also had him getting drafted, which I thought was pretty funny. But it was like with the last pick. It was like the third to last pick in the overall draft, and the 7th round pick for the Chargers. So yeah, they also have Will Dissly. That's his name, Will Dissly, the former Seahawks tight end. So yeah, I wouldn't mind a tight end if I'm the Chargers. I would not mind a tight end regardless. I would not mind seeing the Chargers get Colston Loveland or Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren would be super ideal. But Colston Loveland would also be great because he reunites with Jim Harbaugh. Now, there were some other picks that I saw, some other notable picks that I saw that from like the mock draft that the Chargers would select. And some actually had the Chargers selecting Ashton Jeanty. Now, I actually don't mind that, but will he be off the board sooner rather than later? And honestly, there are other running backs that the Chargers could draft, like Cam Skattebo from Arizona State. But Ashton Jeanty, if the Chargers can get 2 first-round picks, like if they could like trade some of their picks away and then get like a late first-round pick, and then Jeanty is still on the board, and then they can get their other tight end, like whether it's Loveland or Warren, that would be so big right there. But honestly, Jeanty, if they can get him, that would be so ideal, especially since J.K. Dobbins is a free agent. And I think that would be so big just because the Chargers don't have that big bruising back. And Jeanty would be so amazing to get for the Chargers run game. I mean, nothing against Gus Edwards or J.K. Dobbins. I mean, Dobbins has had a fantastic season. And Edwards was pretty good back when Dobbins was out, especially in that Denver game at home. But I just think that Jeanty, you need some young, fresh blood. I mean, again, nothing against Edwards or Dobbins, but I think Jeanty, having his amazing career at Boise State, you got to get him if he's available. So Jeanty would be a good choice. Then if the Chargers want to go offensive line like they've done the past few seasons, there was another suggestion, Donovan Jackson, offensive lineman from Ohio State, or the Ohio State. So Jackson obviously had himself the storybook year, well, not storybook year, but the pinnacle of his amazing college career where he led Ohio State to the national championship. I wouldn't mind an offensive lineman because they've already got Zion Johnson, which has been okay. They got Joe Alt, who was a stud. They also got Rashawn Slater, who's probably in line for a contract extension. And then they've got some other offensive linemen, which have been pretty decent. But I wouldn't mind another offensive lineman, especially since the O-line just did not do Justin Herbert too many favors. And I think Trey Pipkins is slated to be a free agent this season, or he's probably out the door as well. So you have that right there. And then if the Chargers want to go defense in the first round, then they can get edge rusher Jack Sawyer, the hero from the Texas-Ohio State game where Sawyer had the fumble recovery scoop and score for Ohio State in that semifinal against Texas. So, I mean, I can't really go wrong. I mean, I would prefer tight end, but maybe they can get Loveland in round 2. I don't know other teams who would need a tight end. I mean, I can't. Maybe the Broncos or something of that sort. I mean, I'd have to go back and look. I mean, I'm on the ESPN website right now, and let's see NFL. The Bills already have tight ends. They're good on tight ends. Dolphins have Jonnu Smith. Patriots will not use their first rounder on a tight end. Jets, I think, are still good on tight end. Ravens are good on tight end. Bengals are good on tight end. So on and so forth. I think I can't imagine Loveland would fall to round 2. It's not going to be like the Ladd McConkey, where Ladd McConkey was slated to be in the first round, and then he fell right into the Chargers' lap after the Chargers traded picks with the New England Patriots. It's not going to be like that. I think Loveland and Warren will be off the board by the time round 2 hits. And if round 2 hits and the Chargers manage to trade their way up and get Loveland or Warren, bully for them. But I think Warren should be off the board in round 1. Loveland could probably be off the board in round 2, so it all depends. But yeah, that is going to do it for the Chargers and their notable draft targets in round 1. These are some notable names that I think that the Chargers should go after, and this wasn't the entire mock draft for the entirety, and I'm just going to probably focus solely on round 1 for the Chargers, and same with the Rams, but I'm not going to spend too much time on this. So that's going to pretty much do it for the Rams and Chargers portion of the show. I should also mention that today is also the 1-year anniversary when the Chargers hired Jim Harbaugh as their head coach, and that's when he overhauled the entire Chargers roster, brought in Jesse Minter, brought in Greg Roman, who I thought was pretty decent, brought in all sorts of other guys like new nutritionist, new strength and physical coach, new everything. He overhauled the entire Chargers coaching staff and whatnot. So, and I honestly got to say, happy 1-year anniversary with Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers. So happy that he's my head coach, and I'm happy he is not going to be going anywhere for hopefully a long time, and hopefully, knock on wood, that the Chargers can somehow get to the main promised land being the Super Bowl. But I'm not going to be looking that far down the road, but I'm hopeful for next season and beyond. But that's going to do it for the Chargers and Rams portion of the show. We're going to take ourselves a quick commercial break. When we come back, we've got some Lakers to discuss, as well as some Clippers. Keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Spring Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter. At any time, be happy to reply. Always willing to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Pittsburgh? This is Ralph Galise, the host of the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you that passionate, diehard Steelers, Penguins, Pirates, or just a Pittsburgh sports fan? Then please join me on the Injury Report every Tuesday on IE Sports Radio, the direct feed for all that is sports. And I will update you on all that's black and gold, have you telling your Pittsburgh fans and friends what's up with Pittsburgh sports. Tune in Tuesday with me, Ralph Galise, the Injury Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!
Back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out our amazing shows such as Sin City Sports with Cale Henderson and the Inter Report with Ralph Calise, which will be on later on in the day. But let us get on into the SoCal. Let's get back into the SoCal sports action. So let's talk a little NBA here. So let's talk some Lakers action. So Lakers had themselves a fantastic win last night over the Boston Celtics. Now I get it. The Boston Celtics were running on fumes after they played the Los Angeles Clippers in an overtime game, but I don't care. You didn't have to travel. I get it. You were short 24 hours rest, but I don't care. Lakers managed to take advantage of the situation, and they managed to take down the Celtics 117-96. It was actually this game I think was actually flexed to prime time because the TNT was supposed to televise the Pelicans game, but unfortunately that game was postponed. So anyway, looking at the Lakers win, Anthony Davis led the way, and it's good to see him and LeBron James healthy, as Davis led the way with 24 points. Austin Reeves had 23 points. LeBron James had 20 points with 14 boards and 6 assists. Rui Hachimura chipped in 10 points. Gabe Vincent chipped in 12 points off the bench. Lakers went a whopping... Trying to look at their 3-point. They shot 42% from 3. Gabe Vincent made a whopping 4 3-pointers, and they were just raining threes from beyond. It was just one of those nights that the Lakers were not missing in terms of 3-point land, as the Lakers made a whopping 15 threes. They actually made 11 threes in the first half, and they were just dominating the Boston Celtics. I know the Celtics did make 14 threes overall, but eventually that came in the second half where the Celtics were just down. They just need to claw and scratch their way back. But the Celtics just did not look like themselves. They missed 4 free throws at one point in the third quarter, which very surprised me. Lakers only missed 2 free throws, which was good. Lakers also out-rebounded the Celtics 53-42. In terms of total turnovers, Celtics only turned the ball over 7 times, while the Lakers only turned it over 10. Lakers shot nearly 50%, shooting 47.2%. So all in all for the Lakers, it was a very good night for them. And believe it or not, the Lakers are actually 5th in the Western Conference standings, which I did not want to believe. I was just flabbergasted at that. I was like, really? Lakers are actually doing decent? They're not in the wild card, or not wild card. They're not in the bubble, round or the bubble zone. So yeah, I can't believe it either. The Lakers are actually doing pretty decent in terms of their season this year, but there's still plenty of time left. There's still plenty of season left. The Lakers are over halfway done with their season, of their regular season for that matter, and they just can't relax. They just can't relax, and they just can't ease up on anything. But they are 5th in the Western Conference, but right behind them is the Clippers, and kind of right behind them are the Mavericks. Minnesota's not too far back. Sacramento's only 2 games back. Phoenix is like 2.5 games back. Golden State is 3 games back, and so on and so forth. Speaking of those Golden State Warriors, the Lakers are back in action this Saturday when they head down to Oakland to take on the Golden State Warriors. So, as we all know, the first meeting with the Warriors went the Lakers' way as they just narrowly escaped with a win over the Golden State Warriors on Christmas Day, courtesy of some heroics from Austin Reeves. Now, this time, hopefully, Anthony Davis can stay healthy and he can play the entire game. And if Anthony Davis stays healthy, then the Lakers can just pound the ball inside to AD. If not, then they're going to have to hope that the Lakers bench players step up as well. But speaking of backup and other help that the Lakers might need, The Lakers will actually be getting one player back this Saturday as well, at least as early as this Saturday, being Jared Vanderbilt. And he's actually cleared to play this Saturday, which hopefully the Lakers can definitely could use Jared Vanderbilt. He has not played one game this season, and he's been out since pretty much last year or the offseason. So I'm glad to see Jared Vanderbilt is back in the lineup for the Lakers, or he's going to be back on the Lakers active roster, and he won't be on IR. And the Lakers definitely could use him just because Golden State is definitely one of those teams that, even though their record is like 22-22, their record is not indicative of what the team that they truly are. And I definitely think that the Warriors can give the Lakers a hard time, especially at Oracle Arena. I keep forgetting where the Warriors play, but regardless, I think this is going to be a barn burner of a matchup, and the Lakers just can't get too high on this win over the Celtics. It's so easy to get high off of a win over your rival, your longtime rival, and then you got another rival which is in your division and which you've narrowly escaped against. And I think for the Lakers, they just have to stay grounded. They have to stay humble, and they got to just keep doing them. So there's that for the Lakers right there, and some possible trade targets that Reggie Miller had in mind for the Lakers are two players from the Chicago Bulls, Vucevic and Zach LaVine, which I think is actually a pretty solid. I mean, Vucevic is good for pounding the ball inside, getting another big man in case Anthony Davis gets hurt, heaven forbid. And then you got Zach LaVine, who's another playmaker. And the Chicago Bulls could very well be sellers at the trade deadline instead of buyers based on where they're at. But Nikola Vucevic would be a pretty good option. I mean, not too bad if you ask me. I mean, he's a 6'10" center. The Lakers could use some depth inside, down low. And then Zach LaVine, obviously, he's done wonders for the Chicago Bulls. But it all depends on what the Lakers want to give up. Do the Lakers want to give up a first-round draft pick? No. Do they want to give up some key pieces like they did with the D'Angelo Russell trade back to Brooklyn? Perhaps. It all depends. But those are some targets that Reggie Miller had from last night's game against the Boston Celtics. I'm not even going to bother with the targets that the Celtics should go after just because Boston is not in Southern California, but I digress. All right, jumping over to the Clippers. So the Clippers got back into the win column as they took down the Washington Wizards 110-93. So this was a good win because their previous two losses were an overtime loss to the Celtics at home, a 117-113 loss, and then they also lost to the Chicago Bulls 112-99. That loss actually snapped a 4-game winning streak, which that actually came against the Lakers, which the Clippers were in firm control. The Trailblazers, which they suck. The Nets, which are pretty much bad. And the Heat, which did not have Jimmy Butler. But yeah, this win over the Wizards, they definitely needed. And I don't know how they lost to the Bulls. The Celtics, I kind of felt that the Clippers, they could have won that one, but the Clippers did not have any sort of superstars. The Clippers had no superstars. They were resting all their players. That was just load management all across the board when it came to the Celtics. They didn't have Kawhi Leonard rest. They didn't have James Harden due to load management. And they just had players resting. Like their leading scorer was Norman Powell didn't play. Their leading scorer was Derek Jones, who had 29 points. Kevin Porter Jr. 26 points. Amir Coffey 24 points. Terrence Mann 11 points. They only played 9 guys, and the fact the Clippers almost won, that speaks to high volumes of how scrappy the Clippers are and how good their coaching staff actually is. But yeah, Clippers almost beat the reigning NBA champs with just 9 players which most people have probably not heard of. They even got to the point where Kobe Brown had 11 boards off the bench, even though he was -4 in point or -7 in point in plus minus. But I digress. Even the Clippers. Yeah, it was a tough one. They're obviously got to win without their top players. And remember, this was the second of a back-to-back. They're not going to play James Harden, or I'm sorry, not second of a back-to-back, like the close second of a back-to-back. Even though they played the Wizards and the Celtics in the on back-to-back nights, but yeah, what can you do if you're the Clippers? I don't know why they love to load manage. I thought they got rid of this whole load management thing with. I thought the Lakers were supposed to be the kings of load management, but I guess the Clippers were the originators, and then the Lakers adopted that because they have a bunch of not old, but aging players and whatnot, But yeah, against the Wizards, I mean, there's not much to go over when it comes to the Wizards. They're like the worst team in the NBA. They're definitely going to be sellers. Norman Powell did come back, and James Harden did get a triple-double for the Clippers, which I thought was pretty awesome. Norman Powell did come back for the Clippers. Clippers were just on one. Even though they turned the ball over more times than the Wizards did, but honestly, the Wizards are a whopping 1-19. I can't imagine who would lose to the Wizards at home. Imagine being a team that loses to the Washington Wizards at home. It couldn't be my LA teams or SoCal teams, but I digress. So the Clippers are back in action tomorrow when they host the Milwaukee Bucks. All right, this one's going to be a little bit more tougher just because the Bucks are coming in off of a nice little win as well. But they only beat the Miami Heat, which isn't too big, but honestly, it's not too great. It's not too bad as well. But yeah, the Bucks, they're number 4 in the Eastern Conference. Clippers are right behind the Lakers in terms of the Western Conference standings. Lakers only have a better record just because of win percentage. Lakers have played 2 less games than the Clippers, so they have that kind of going for them. Surprisingly, the Lakers are they're the best team in the Western Conference to have a minus point differential, which would mean average point differential. So they're averaging minus 1.4 points per game. Or they're actually winning by minus 1.4 points per game. Yet the Lakers are 5th in the Western Conference. It just goes to show that the Lakers are just an up and down team. One week they're just on a winning streak, and the next week they're on a losing streak, and then they beat a good team, and then they lose to a team. So for the Lakers' sake, I hope that they're able to get it together. But back to the Clippers. They play the Milwaukee Bucks, which I think is going to be a very tough test for them. They got a lot. That Bucks team still has a lot of good players on their team. They've got Dame Dollas. They've got Giannis Antetokounmpo. And barring any injuries, doesn't look like they've got any injuries. Oh, they do have someone on the injury report. They've got Chris Middleton and AJ Green, both being game time decisions. While the Clippers have Jordan Miller, Chris Dunn as game time decisions, while PJ Tucker is out. Now, I don't know if the Clippers are going to load manage in this game. I mean, maybe they will, but the Bucks are 8-10 on the road. So I don't know what Tyronn Lue is going to do in terms of load management for Kawhi. I imagine that Kawhi might not play, but we shall see. I mean, one can only hope that the Clippers will load manage. One will only hope that the Clippers won't load manage. I mean, let's actually look at their box score and who played and who didn't. So Kawhi played, Derek Jones played, Ivica Zubac played, James Harden played, Norman Powell played, Nick Batum played, Mo Bamba played. Mo Bamba? He's still in the league? Amir Coffey, and so on and so forth. So it all depends on what the load management is going to be for the Clippers, but we shall see. I mean, they just beat the Wizards, and I bet you the Clippers didn't have – the Clippers didn't even play – Stars didn't even play that much. Kawhi only played 24. Zubac only played 29. This was one of those games where they just beat that wishy-washy team. So I'm sure the Clippers will probably be 50-50 in terms of load management, but we shall see. All right, that'll do it for the Lakers and Clippers portion of the show. We're going to take one last commercial break. When we come back, we've got a little hockey to discuss, and we've got some college hoops to discuss. Keep it locked here. You are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
And And welcome back to the final part of the SoCal Spring Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out our amazing shows that you just heard. Let's Whine About DMV Sports with Mike Pat will be on tomorrow. I keep saying that it's going to be on today, but Mike Pat has moved it to tomorrow. And then New York State Sports with Ricky K is on Mondays. And then also later on today, we've got the Sports Couple Perspective. Yes. Oh, wait, no, it's not. It's like every third week of the month and so on and so forth. But I do got to mention that Sports Couple Perspective is back and better than ever. So with that being said, let's move on to the final part of this show. So we're going to talk some college hoops and then get our dum-dum of the week out of the way. So we actually had a stunner in the college men's basketball world. We had UC Riverside taking down UC Irvine and hitting them their first conference loss of the season, 84-80 in overtime, which I thought was incredible because UC Irvine, they're actually receiving votes in the AP poll and whatnot. And everyone is saying that UC Irvine is a team that no one wants to face. If they're a double-digit seed, this is the team you want to avoid. And believe it or not, I think it was Ron Hasenstein or something of that sort. He said that Russell Turner's teams have averaged about 17 to 20 wins per season. And he even said it best, that the Anteaters are a team that no one wants to face in the first round of March Madness. They're a double-digit seed that you definitely want to avoid. But the Highlanders came in, defended their home court, and handed UC Irvine their first loss of the season. The Highlanders were led by Barrington Hargris, who had 20 points. Nate Pickens added 11 points. Caleb Smith added 13 points. And then off the bench, Jack Whitburn and Isaiah Moses both had 11 points off the bench. For UC Irvine, they were led by Miles Chi, who had 20 points. Bent, I'm probably going to mispronounce this one. Bent Luchton, he had 17 points. Devin Tillis had 16 points. And Jurian Dixon added 10 points. And then Justin Hahn added 9 points. But it wasn't enough as the Highlanders came out with a win. So that's a great win right there for UC Riverside. I thought that was an amazing win, in my opinion, just because it is the first loss for UC Irvine. And UC Irvine was just taking teams to the shed. There's no debate when it comes to that. But looking at the Big West standings in men's basketball, UC Irvine is still all alone in first place. You've got UC San Diego right behind them, just one game back. Then you've got UC Davis, which is in SoCal. UC Riverside is in fourth. CSUN is in fifth. Santa Barbara is sixth. Hawaii seventh. Bakersfield eighth. Long Beach State, my alma mater, is ninth. And I think they glitched Hawaii's conference record with their overall record, but I digress. Long Beach State is third to the bottom. Fullerton is second to the bottom, and Cal Poly is at the bottom. Poor Mustangs. They just can't catch a break this season, even with a new head coach. So, but there's that right there for the Big West Conference. Now that the NFL is pretty much is over for the Chargers and the Rams, I'm going to be talking more about the Big West in terms of men's basketball. So there you have it. All right, but over to UCLA. UCLA pulled off a pretty darn good win this past week as well. As Tuesday, they knocked off number 18 Wisconsin 85-83, and it was a big win for the Bruins just because they had that 4-game losing skid, but now they've won 2 in a row, and I think this might improve UCLA's chances of making the NCAA tournament, whether or not they get the automatic qualifier from the Big Ten. But let's see, how many wins is that? It's like 1, 2. That's 3 ranked wins this season for UCLA. That is pretty darn good if you ask me. And I think for UCLA, no matter if they get to the NCAA tournament, they're going to be a tough out for anybody, no matter who they get. So I think it's going to be fun to see UCLA back in the tournament. Currently, the Bruins are 13-6, so unless they have they just go south with the remaining matches or the remaining games. I just don't see how UCLA doesn't make the NCAA tournament. The only way I don't see that happening is if the committee just leaves them on the first 4 out. But yeah, UCLA is back in action tonight when they host Washington. Or actually, no, they're at Washington. Then Monday, they're on the road against USC in the first installment of the crosstown rivalry. And then next Thursday, they are at home against Oregon. And then the following week, they also have Michigan State. So, yeah, USC, Oregon, and Michigan State. That's a tough stretch right there if you're those goody little Bruins. But if there's one team that can handle it, it's UCLA. And they won't have to play Michigan State until the 4th of February. So that's a Tuesday. So they don't need to worry all that much about Michigan State. Right now, the only team that they should be worrying about is Washington. And then for USC, they kind of pulled off a nice win. They had a most recent win over Nebraska, beating them 78-73 on the road. That's a pretty good win. It's not the most glamorous win. I mean, Nebraska is close to the bottom of the Big Ten, but it's still a solid win regardless. And they're saying that USC could be borderline of making the NCAA tournament. I mean, if it's possible, then that would be amazing. But this is only year 1 of the Eric Musselman year. But the fact that USC is playing hard under Musselman is quite amazing, if you ask me. I mean, I don't know which wins are going to be which losses are going to be the ones that might keep out the Trojans. I mean, maybe the New Mexico loss. I mean, but UCLA also lost to them too. The Cal loss, which I'm not sure how they're doing. I mean, I don't cover NorCal, I cover SoCal. And then also Michigan's it's not too bad of a loss. Indiana also not so bad of a loss. Wisconsin, which was their game before Nebraska, is also not too bad of a loss either. So anyway, USC doesn't play this weekend. They're not back in action until Monday when they host said USC or UCLA team. And then next Saturday, they host Michigan State. And they've also got Northwestern and Purdue on the road. Ooh, that Purdue match is going to be a tough one. And Penn State and Minnesota are home. Then Maryland and Rutgers are both at home. Ohio State's at home. Oregon on the road. Washington at home. And then UCLA on the road to finish up the season. But it would be a miracle if USC made the NCAA tournament. If they do, then awesome. If they don't, then so be it. At least they've shown progress. At least they're progressing under Eric Musselman. And this is without talent, mind you. This isn't without the talent that they had when they had Andy Enfield. But I think for USC, I think they can definitely progress in the future with Eric Musselman. It's just all about getting the right talent aboard and getting the talent from Eric Musselman's team and not Andy Enfield's team. All right, but that is that for the men's college hoops news. For women's college hoops, let's just skim through the Big West Conference before going over the Big Ten. UC Irvine is all alone in first place. Well, by a half a game. Then you got Long Beach State in second place, Hawaii in third, UC Davis fourth, UC San Diego fifth, UC Riverside sixth, UC Santa Barbara seventh, Cal Poly eighth, Northridge 9, Bakersfield 10, and Fullerton 11th. I think Long Beach State and UC Irvine either play one another or they have played one another. No, they don't. They don't play one another until next Thursday, which is going to be big for them. But UC Irvine does play at Hawaii tomorrow, which I think is going to be big right there. So I think that's going to be a fun little matchup right there. And then Long Beach State, they're having a solid year. I didn't think they would have the best year, but that Big West is so sneaky. It's like everyone thinks that it's like no team wants to follow the script in terms of the preseason conference polls, unless you're UC Irvine. But Long Beach State just recently lost to UC San Diego, but they won 2 straight. They've got Cal Poly tomorrow, which they should probably win, but you never know with the Big West Conference. I mean, Cal Poly is like at the bottom half of the conference, while Hawaii, for UC Irvine's sake, is at the top half. So we shall see. But all in all, that's basically it for the skimming of the Big West Conference. Now for the Big Ten, which everyone has come forward. Everyone loves the Big Ten because the hierarchy of women's college basketball teams from Southern California is UCLA and USC. And I guess the third one would probably be CBU or California Baptist. And that's no disrespect to the other teams from Southern California, but it's kind of the truth. Like UCLA and USC are A and B when it comes to the college basketball teams hierarchy from SoCal. And then it goes down from there. So USC and UCLA, they're actually the only two teams from the Big Ten Conference that have yet to lose, which I think is pretty darn awesome. And UCLA is still undefeated, which I think is really awesome. But they have a big test on Sunday when they hit the road to College Park to take on Maryland. Now, Maryland is a tough challenge just because Maryland is a top 10 team. They're number 8. And UCLA is going to be on the road, so I imagine it's going to be bumping and jumping when it comes to seeing Maryland and UCLA facing one another. I think it's going to be a barn burner. And then the hits also keep coming for UCLA as they've got Minnesota on the following Sunday, then they've got Ohio State, and Oregon's a good team. Then they're at USC, then they're home against Michigan State. And then after that, they kind of get a little bit of a breather, and then their last game is against USC. So a little bit of a gauntlet going forward for UCLA, but it's nothing they can't handle, especially since they are undefeated as of right now, and they have yet to lose in the Big Ten Conference. Now for USC. So USC, their next matchup won't be until next Thursday when they host Minnesota. Then they're at Iowa and at Wisconsin, and then they've got number 12 Ohio State for the time being. I mean, they did just lose to Penn State, which should drop them in the rankings. And then after Ohio State, they've got UCLA, then Washington, then Michigan State, then Illinois, then UCLA. So not as gauntlet-y, that's a nice word. Not as much of a gauntlet as UCLA's gauntlet, but I think USC still could get challenged by Iowa. Minnesota should obviously be a tough test, but we shall see. Iowa obviously isn't the same Iowa team as last year, but Iowa, I think, can still do damage. So we'll have to wait and see what USC can do. I'm confident in the women of Troy, though, and I'm confident that once USC and UCLA face one another in the Big Ten, it's going to be for first place. All right, but that is that for the college women's hoop scene. So now we got to go over Dum Dum of the Week. So Dum Dum of the Week, it's an award I like to give out to, which no one is safe from. Anybody could get this award, so on and so forth. All right, and as we all know, today is the one-year anniversary of Jim Harbaugh being hired by the Chargers. So why am I making note of this? Well, this offseason has kind of been a little bit of getting your new head coach. Like, new teams are hiring new head coaches. Like, for instance, the Raiders just recently hired Pete Carroll, which I think is pretty cool, the former USC football coach who wound up winning a Super Bowl with those Seattle Seahawks. You also had Liam, I forget his last name, but the Jacksonville Jaguars hiring the Bucks. Liam Cohen, I think his name is. The Jacksonville Jaguars hired their new head coach after firing Trent Baalke. Thank God. You also got the Chicago Bears hiring their new head coach in Ben Johnson. And then you also got the New York Jets hiring Aaron Glenn as their new head coach. And then you got the Dallas Cowboys who said that they weren't going to bring back Mike McCarthy, but I will just say I think they are nearing the hiring up. Oh gosh. Excuse me for 1 second. Sorry about that. Still a little sick because after I got a little bit of a cold from Austin, but Yeah, I really gotta give my throat a rest after, or my voice a rest after this show. But um, the Dallas Cowboys, who they are nearing hiring, they are well, who they have possibly are nearing hiring. They might be reuniting with Mike McCarthy, even though they said they won't be bringing him back. But the coach that they are nearing hiring is, and this is just rumors, Brian Schottenheimer. Yeah, I'm not kidding. They are bringing Brian Schottenheimer back for a second interview. And keep in mind, this is the Dallas Cowboys, quote unquote, every America's team. Well, I will say this, Dallas Cowboys, you've got poor taste in coaches. Like, first and foremost, I don't blame you for wanting to get rid of Mike McCarthy, but Brian Schottenheimer, has he even been a head coach in the NFL? Like, come on, dude. Oh my God, this is funny right here. I would laugh hysterically if the Cowboys hired Brian Schottenheimer. Like, that would be such a bad hire, in my opinion. So, and then there are some sources that are saying that a Mike McCarthy Dallas Cowboys reunion could be possible. So, I don't know, but Brian Schottenheimer. There are other hot coaching candidates that could be on the market for the Dallas Cowboys, but Brian Schottenheimer, son of Marty, who was the late former Chargers head coach. But dude, Dallas Cowboys, you got to have better taste in coaches, if you ask me. If you're hiring him as your new head coach, you deserve to stay irrelevant, especially with the Commanders and the Eagles vying for a spot in the Super Bowl. So, man, please, Cowboys, let this happen so we can all laugh at you some more. But this is a fair warning. I guess this won't be official Dumb of the Week. I mean, maybe I would give it to the Detroit Lions for having such an ugly game against the Commanders. They get mini Dumb of the Week. Cowboys, this is your fair warning. If you hire Brian Schottenheimer or you hire some coach or coordinator that I've never even heard of, you're instant Dumb of the Week. And this goes for the 49ers too. If they hire Brandon Staley as their defensive coordinator, you're instant Dumb of the Week. So this is my fair warning to the Niners and Cowboys. Do not make those hires. And if the Cowboys hire Brandon Staley as their head coach, I will just laugh altogether, especially since the Cowboys do play the Chargers next year. But I digress. But yeah, Dallas Cowboys, I swear if you botch this coaching hire, I will laugh at you and you will be Dumb of the Week. But you're knocking on the door of being Dumb of the Week. And then I guess if there's going to be a Dumb of the Week, it's going to be, I guess if I had to pick a true Dumb of the Week, I guess I'd probably pick all the people that sent threats and like negative comments to Mark Andrews and his girlfriend. Like, come on. I know the Baltimore Ravens just lost that big of a game, and Mark Andrews had a fumble and he had a big drop on the 2-point conversion. But that doesn't mean you can make threats and whatnot. And I give a lot of kudos to Mark Andrews for handling this situation to the best of his ability. But for those that are just making threats, you have no class and you are just despicable and you don't deserve to be a fan of the NFL. So to the people that have sent threats and negative messages to Mark Andrews, you're Dumb of the Week. You are the Dumb of the Week. The Detroit Lions are the mini Dumb of the Week. And the Dallas Cowboys and 49ers, you have been warned. But that's going to do it for the Dumb of the Week. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. As you can tell, I'm losing my voice and I'm still not 100%, but I'm trying to get there. But yeah, thank you, Kent. He says, nice show, Teran. Catch you down the road. I appreciate you. Monday, I will not be doing Set Point that day. I'll probably be doing Set Point on Tuesday because Monday I'm going to a Dallas Mavericks game. Yeah, go figure. I'm going with my brother and a few of his friends to the Dallas Mavericks game at home when they take on the Washington Wizards. That's another thing. If the Mavericks lose to the Washington Wizards, they're instant Dumb of the Week. I don't care what it is. I don't care who the Mavericks don't or do have. they will be Dum Dum of the Week if they lose to the Washington Wizards while I attend that game. But until then, I'll probably be back on Tuesday when I do Set Point, and then next Friday I should be good to still do SoCal Supreme Sports Show. But until then, have yourself a great rest of the week. Enjoy the SoCal sports action, even though the Rams and the Chargers are out. Enjoy the Lakers and Clippers, UCLA, USC, the Ducks, and the Kings, which I never really got a chance to go to. But I guess we'll just skim through how the Ducks and Kings have done. Kings are still third in the Pacific Division, while the Ducks are second to last. So the Ducks have regressed, while the Kings are still firmly in third place. I'd like for them to climb up, but unfortunately, the Kings. And I also guess I should mention that the Kings are the best team in the best home team in the NHL, which I think is awesome sauce. Now it's just all about winning on the road. But until then, have yourself a great rest of the week. Enjoy the SoCal sports action. And I will see you on Tuesday for Set Point. Have a great rest of the week. And remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace. And still giving my thoughts and blessings to everyone affected by the Pacific Palisades fires. Have a great weekend, everybody.